So we've been talking about this idea of what would my life be like if I showed up every day as the very best version of myself, not a different version, not having to change myself, not having to like kind of have a metamorphosis transformation, but just reconnecting to the best version of me that was always there, that maybe got pushed down with some poor choices, poor behaviors, some thinking, thoughts that maybe weren't even yours, things that you heard other people say that you kind of took as your own. But what if I brought that best version of myself forward? And I really think about this, that when we want to change a habit, right, there's a habit of who we're being. We're either being the best version of ourselves or some other version that's not the best. And that habit, and so I'll tell you guys, like a habit for me is getting to bed on time. That is a habit that I struggle with. Can't say I have struggled with, I do struggle with. I've had various reasons and seasons in my life struggled with this insomnia. And so the best version of me goes to bed and gets a full 8 hours of sleep. The not best version of me gets 4 or 5 hours of sleep. The best version of me doesn't indulge in sugar and doesn't reach for chocolate when she gets stressed. The not best version of me does. The best version of me breathes differently, meditates, slows down. The not best version of me talks really fast and has a lot of anxiety and keeps going, right? So it's not about changing who I am. It's about stepping into the best version of me. And there's a best version of you. I want you to think, what is the best version of you? Maybe list 3 or 4 or 5 traits that are the best version of you. When you're in your best, how are you being different? What's different about the best version of you than the not best version of you? Can you be really specific on what that best version does? Maybe that best version gets up earlier. Maybe that best version doesn't check your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe the best version works out on a regular basis. Maybe the best version actually turns it off at the end of the day and doesn't continue to think about all of the things that you need to do, but sets better boundaries. Maybe the best version doesn't always say yes to everything, but says, give me 24 hours to think about that before I say yes, or before I give you an answer. What does the best version of you do in life? How do you show up? How are you different as the best version of you? Maybe the best version of you makes your bed in the morning and the not best version doesn't. Maybe the best version of you picks out your clothes the night before, so you're not using up your decision making in the morning trying to figure out what to wear. So just come up with 3, 4, 5, 10 things. It's up to you how many you want to have, but even just three things that the best version of you would be doing different. And then when you're asking yourself, and we talked about this, is setting an alarm and 3 times a day, kind of stopping and saying, okay, if I was the best version of myself right now, what would I be doing? How would I be showing up different? And starting to kind of let that set with you and let that settle and sit and say, okay, and start to move closer to that best version. But here's the thing, it's hard to think, at least it is for me, it's hard to think, I'm going to be the best version of myself every day. This is why New Year's resolutions don't work. I remember years ago, I was in a gym and there was a yoga studio in the gym, and I went to yoga on a regular basis. And I distinctly remember it was January and I showed up for the yoga class and there were no spots. I mean, every spot was filled with yoga mats. And I said to a girl who was always there with me, I said, what's going on? Like, why are there all these people here? What happened? And she said, oh, it's January. Don't worry. It's like 6 weeks. It'll be over. And I remember being like, what? And what I realized was that there were all these people who had a New Year's resolution that they were going to start working out at the gym. And so she was right. For 6 weeks, that yoga studio was packed. I had to get there early to make sure I got a spot. And around mid-February, I went back to normal. I didn't have to get there early anymore, because that's how most of us are. When we want to start a new habit, we are good for about 6 weeks while we're excited, right? But it's the sticking with it. It's making that lasting change that's different. And so if I think about, okay, Tara, I'm going to transform my life. I'm going to be the best version of myself every single day going forward. I might get 2 or 3 days in, but then I'm going to start to revert to old habits and things that are comfortable and things that feel familiar. And so very much like if you know anybody who's gone through AA, the idea is that you just have to get through 24 hours. Can you go 24 hours without taking a drink? And then can you go another 24 hours without taking a drink? And so you don't worry about the rest of your life. You just worry about the 24 hours in front of you. And I don't even like to use the word worry, but you just focus on the 24 hours in front of you. And so I want you to imagine, what if all you had to do was be the best version of yourself for one day, a 24-hour block. Just today, you're going to show up as the best version of yourself. And tomorrow, if you're not the best version, that's okay. But today, you're the best version. And let's say over the course of a week, you're able to show up as the best version of yourself for 3 days out of the week. That is probably a huge difference from where you are right now. And now let's say next month, you could show up 4 days a week as the best version of yourself. That's a huge improvement. And even if it's just one day a week that you're the best version of yourself, that's now 52 days a year at your very best version of yourself. What would your life be like? How would it start to change and transform? Because one day you show up as the very best version of yourself. I would love to hear what happens when you choose to do that.